Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, or night. First off, I want to say if you enjoy this video, then let me know by liking and commenting if you like. If you dislike, then dislike. But anyways, let's get to it. So today I want to talk about a few different types of questioning. So questioning is a very important component of life. It's something that will naturally be doing from the moment that we're old enough to do so, and probably till we die. So there are a couple different types of questioning. So there's this type of questioning in which we are asking others, or we're seeking specific answers. You know, how do I find success in life? How do I find happiness in life? How do I be successful in dating? What are the steps to doing that? And these things are, very, when we're looking for them, of course, we have a need for them. But the thing is, we can't get caught up or paralyzed by the thought that receiving an answer to those questions is going to be the answer that we need, or is going to be the thing that gets us to the next level. When you sort of ping someone in regards to their success, how did they reach it? How do we find success in life? Of course, we it's good to get all that input. It's good to get that external input and process it and apply it to our lives. But the thing is, you can't necessarily get caught up in the thought that if you follow this same principle, or you follow the same answer, then it's going to lead to the same result. And that's one of the things I think that we can sometimes get paralyzed in, looking for specific answers to specific questions, and sort of feeling that if we follow that answer, or we follow it directly, we mimic the path of someone else, that it's going to lead us to where we're trying to go. One of the things that I found in my life is that through time, many of the questions that I've asked, they've sort of evolved. And if the question itself hasn't evolved, the answer has evolved. So the thing is, when we have certain answers to questions, how do I find happiness in life? If I had asked myself that question maybe 10 or so years ago, I would have thought that maybe it was a great job, maybe it was a happy family and all these things, and of course those are components of it. But if, asking myself that question now, the answer is slightly different. It's more of a process of discovering myself and really finding what that answer is. So that's the thing, throughout life, many of the answers to these questions, they change, and it's great to be able to realize that, and it's great to be able to adapt to that. And as I said before, if the answers themselves don't change, then the question itself changes. So, we'll find ourselves asking different questions throughout different stages of our lives. The question that we may ask, 5 or so years ago, it may be irrelevant to the stage that we are in life right now. So it's very important that we are able to evolve, and that we are able to sort of accept that change and sort of to grow. And, we ask these questions, and, like I said before, they may not give a direct answer. And that's another type of question. As I may have mentioned before, I was reading this book called Buddhism Without Beliefs. And one of the things that it describes is a certain type of question that doesn't necessarily give an answer. It doesn't give a direct yes or a no. It doesn't, affirm or negate. It doesn't necessarily give you a direct answer at that moment, or it may not ever at all. And these are the questions that can sometimes be a negative, and but more often, at least for right now in my stage in life, currently those questions have become more of a positive. So as I said before, with it being a negative, we, or at least a couple years ago, when I found myself asking those types of questions that I couldn't necessarily find an answer to, I was starting to beat myself up about it, because I started to wonder, am I ever going to find the answer, or am I ever going to find it in time in which is going to bring value to me? And as I said before, as time has gone on, I realized that that's not necessarily a bad thing. We can get caught up in pondering and questioning too much to the point where it may drive us insane. But we can also be in this state in which questioning, it more so flows with our life. We may ask a question, or we may just be sitting in a focused state, and this question may present itself, and we may think on it for a couple seconds, couple minutes, and then we will continue on. That's the thing. We shouldn't. It's not necessarily, well, it can be bad to keep asking the question. It can be bad to keep thinking on it over and over and over, and and beating ourselves up about that. But sometimes it's good to just think on it for a moment, then move forward, and maybe that question will present itself again in a moment in time. That's the thing. You just have to be able to sort of let the thing or the questioning flow itself. So why is questioning important? Well, as humans, we've always been asking questions, and asking questions has allowed us to start a process of discovery. As I said before, many times, questioning is quite important when it comes to discovering yourself. It's quite important to discovering, what you want in life, who you are, who you want to be, what do you want to achieve in life. Those are important questions that I think that we should be asking ourselves. And, to not ask those questions, we can risk setting ourselves up setting our lives up in such a way in which we're just kind of flowing with how things are. We're more so morphed by the environment, shaped by what the environment and society wants us to be versus what we want to be. So it's good to sort of ask ourselves those questions every now and then. Who do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? What type of life do I want to live? What sort of impact do I want to have on this world? And that allows us to live a bit of a selfless life. And there's nothing wrong with having selfish goals, but it's great to have those selfless goals as well. And the thing is, we'll find that, and it may seem counterintuitive at first, but a lot of times doing things that asking those questions and allowing ourselves to live a life that we can benefit others will allow us to find fulfillment in our own lives. So those are very important questions. And as I said before, along with those types of questionings and along with the types of questions that don't necessarily give a direct answer, they both have value. So I think it's important that we don't necessarily get too caught up in finding direct answers, or we don't necessarily get too caught up in asking someone, how do I do this? How specifically, what should I do to achieve this or to obtain that? It's important to get the input of other people, as I said before, to process all that in and to allow that to integrate with our experience. But also, we have to be willing to find the answers ourselves. We have to be willing to go through that process, that journey in life, and realize that, certain answers, it may take months, years, several years, decades to even find. And that's, it may seem like a scary thought, but it's good to acknowledge that, I find, at least early on, so that way we won't get discouraged when we're not finding the answers, and realize that, hey, it may be years before I find this answer, but that journey, the journey of finding the answer, the journey of allowing our experience to allow us to open the door to find that answer, that is just as important as the answer itself. And that is the thing. Sometimes we can get the direct answers from people, and it won't necessarily, we can get great advice, we can get great answers from people, great steps or whatever, and it won't always sort of integrate with our lives at that moment, because we didn't embark on that journey. We didn't struggle to find the answers ourselves. We didn't spend enough time pondering on the questions. So that is the thing, ask great questions, get the experience of other people. As you're watching this video now, I may be answering certain questions or giving certain, pieces of advice, but at the same time, I'm doing this because I have been able to reach that stage in my life in which I have gone through that questioning process, and I have realized the benefits. So when you're looking for answers, when you're directly talking to someone, you're perhaps on YouTube, online, or whatever, just realize that the process is still quite important, that the answer isn't just the important thing, but the process is important. And like I said, although we may find good answers, or we may find good advice, good tips, and all these things, they won't necessarily reflect on us, or they won't necessarily connect with us at that particular moment. It may take years before those answers, or we think back on them and we realize that makes sense. Maybe I can apply that to my life now. So yeah, value questioning, accept that some questions, you won't find answers to. Some questions it may take years to find answers to. And, the journey of questioning, the journey of discovering the answer to ourselves, that is quite as important as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, if you have, like, share, subscribe, let me know. And until next time, I will talk to you later.